not from you, surprising. So,
Couple seconds. Dear Mr. President, fellow Toastmasters and guests, love is a great feeling. It's something like, you know, there have been many people who were way better, articulated way better what they thought about love than I can do. So I will give you some words from Shakespeare, if you don't mind. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love, which alters when its alteration finds. Thank you very much. One second. I actually learned by heart. When and bends with the remover to remove. One second.
No.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It is a never fixed mark that looks at tempest and is never shaken, right? Never shaken. It is the start to every wandering buck, whose worth unknown, although his height be taken. Love's not times full, though rosy lips and cheeks within it bending sickles compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, right? I'll do it by myself. But bears it out even to the edge of doom. If this be error and upon me proved, I never read, nor no man ever loved, right? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so according to the genius, love is a very strong feeling that is a never fixed mark and that allow you not to admit impediments. And actually, in my experience, love is a very interesting state when you think constantly about the goal, in my case. When you think most of the time about your beloved, when you need less food and sleep, when you are full of energy, so it's a great feeling. But as great as the feeling is, and as great as family and relationships you can build on love are, there are other things to life other than that. By the way, in your opinion, how do you think? What is life about? Give me some quick answer.
Life or love?
Now, I personally,
Life?
you have your time. Okay. What life was about?
Life.
I personally like Sigmund Freud's opinion that love and work and love, that's all there is. By work, that's all there is, right? By work, in this quote, I mean I understand any productive activity. For example, I definitely think that I've been working, preparing, rehearsing and delivering now speech before you. And you know what is great about not my picture. Are you okay with that?
Yep, no problem.
And you know what's great about work? You can actually love it similar in many ways to how you love your darling. And I even venture to say that to love your work is almost something you have to do. Why? I love the way Steve Jobs put it, a co-founder and the current CEO of Apple. Steve Jobs said that to achieve any meaningful success, you have to work that hard for that long a time that unless you love what you're doing, you will give up, as any rational person would. So, and my experience corresponds to his words nicely. For example, back in 2004, I graduated from Moscow Institute of Electronic Engineering. And up to 2007, I worked as a microelectronics engineer. Talking about my interest in the field and my energy level at the moment, I was probably something like that.
What is it?
Zombies. Now, I wasn't a very good microelectronics engineer, believe me, in afternoons. But I was a rather different person in a karate gym in evenings. When I was 20, I decided to join the sport and participate in tournaments. And the problem was that 20 years old guys are already, many of them, successful sportsmen. And so they actually could hurt me, unless I prepared well enough. So it came for me to a point when I actually trained 5 days a week, and I ran in the mornings before going to work, and at work during my lunch breaks I did some strength exercises. To make a long story short, it was 5 years of hard work for me, and in the process I broke my thumb. A guy corrected a little bit the form of my nose. I had a couple of concussions, including one time I was kicked at my jaw and found myself lying face down on the floor. It wasn't very pleasant, but I actually enjoyed it and did it willingly. And I even collected a couple of souvenirs along the way. Cool?
Yeah.
In February of 2007, I took the 3rd place on Championship of Moscow. And in April of 2007, I won a Championship of Moscow, won 5 fights in a row, but it was a big category tournament, meaning that elite fighters didn't participate there. So, to give you examples closer to our club, speeches. To prepare a quality speech, you have to concentrate, you have to respect the game, as I used the phrase previously. You have to devote some quality time to it. But it didn't have to be a very difficult and terrible task if you love doing it. And in my opinion, a fine example of a person who loved doing speeches is Margarita Rindina. For example, surprised? No? For example, the way she experiments with poetry in her projects, not unsuccessful like I did, with poetry in her projects, with humor, with even creating, organizing some context with prizes within speeches, to me suggests that she does a lot of quality work preparing for her projects. And I didn't even mention that I haven't yet seen her using notes, and her speeches at times are 15 minutes long. And if I recognize correctly, you even told us once in one of your projects that there are times when you get up at night from your bed to write down ideas about your speeches, right? Now, is it a mere coincidence then that Margarita is Advanced Communicator Silver and the best speaker of our club in 2010? And we have many remarkable people in our club. For example, my suggestion is that love of our club and love of leading people and love of managing projects in general made Valeria Hladkova, surprised?
No.
An excellent president in her time a couple of years ago. The only advanced leader bronze in the whole country. And as far as I know, a rather successful business leader. As I think, natural inclination and love of analytical and critical thinking, who do you think we'll talk about? Made Valentin Novikov an excellent evaluator. Once again, in my opinion, don't believe him that he told you that I wrote the article. It was 3 of us. Lera actually was something like a project manager, and we used heavily Valentin's suggestions and feedback. So he's analytical. And is it a mere coincidence that he is an active young scientist? Do any of you remember Evgenia's 5th project? I touched even you. And previous New Year party and her Toastmaster performances. I believe that she does love making interesting creative events because she's been doing it in school, at work, with her friends, and now